Okay, ready?
Yeah.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Oka Cast. I'm your host and your best friend, Alan.
And I'm your other host, Tin.
And today, we have a very special guest, my good friend, Sinjin Lucio. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Do I look at you or the camera? Hi, everyone. I'm Sinjin Lucio.
I mean, eventually you start to, not even notice that the camera's there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't know if it's good etiquette to maintain eye contact with you or the viewers.
I mean, you're having a conversation with us right now.
Yeah.
You know, you're not talking to them. You're talking to us.
You're talking to us, so you just look at us. Don't worry about the camera. That's just
All right.
gonna be there. Just ignore it.
Okay.
That's why I usually like to sit where I can see both people in my one peripheral vision. Because last time we were at his house, not last time, but the other one time with Dewey, we were at Alan's, and I was sitting in between Alan and Dewey, so I had to look left and right, and it was just a lot of work because I like to maintain eye contact. Well, when I'm listening to them, I like to look at them and see what kind of tone when they talk.
Right.
So it was really hard.
I mean, it makes sense. You're just having a conversation. You want to be able to look at whoever you're talking to.
Yeah.
So I know you were like sort of pretty eager to come onto the show because you were like, there's one episode you were like, I have so many opinions about this. And you're just like, here's your chance.
Yeah, actually, I was been listening to a lot of your episodes and super thankful that you're on Spotify. It fills my commute time to work with a lot of fun conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just like a very laid back podcast, and it's very relatable. So I feel like it's a conversation I could jump into anytime.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I want to have some input on things, or I want to say I agree or I disagree.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best part. Like, I think that's what's really enticing about this podcast. And it's so, I wouldn't say it's worked, but it's helped people to they want to have their own say. Like, we have everyone that we've had on, they've all asked us to come on. And we're just like, yeah, come on, say what you want, whatever you guys want to talk about, just whatever.
Yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
people who watch the show, well, like when they see us in person, they'll be like, hey, like, I feel like I really know you now. And like, I feel like I got to know you a lot better. And I was like, oh no.
But even people that he hasn't met before, or he hasn't really seen on a
Yeah,
basis, because some
I
of
don't
my
see them.
family have also are also listening to this, and we just had a Chinese New Year's party here recently, and then one of my cousins or / nephews came up to Alan and was like, yeah, I feel like I already know you a lot
I was
right
like,
now.
what? Oh no.
I can say the same about you, Thinh, because I met you once at Dry Hot
Yes.
Pot, and then
Dang, we
I'm
should
like,
go back.
I'm down. But now you know so much about me, and now it's nice. It's like you get to know more about people that you don't really see, and that you kind of find a lot of relatable things with them too. Like, you see our struggles, and you kind of like, oh man, I feel the same way, and then it kind of sucks because you also you want them to know that you're not the only one.
yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
we have a lot of conversations like we don't just normally we don't record it, but I feel like we have very similar mindsets and trajectories.
yeah. It's
There's a lot of
really
times
funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of times we're like, wow, I'm going through the exact same thing.
Yeah, it makes your thing more. It just makes you feel like you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone the way you're feeling, because there's someone else out there that feels the same way as that you do, and then it's just nice to know.
It's really nice to know that if I'm in a rut in my life, if I'm depressed, sad, lonely, single, pathetic, and ugly, I know that Alan is also feeling the same exact way.
Hashtag relatable.
I think there was one time after work we went out to Frankfurt Hall, and we just started venting about our personal lives, and it's been a while since we caught up, and then we were venting to our friend Calvin, and then Alan and I literally had the same exact problem. Like, we didn't talk about it to each other or plan it. We were just like, our lives are in parallel.
And then Calvin was like, "You guys just need to stop being bitches." And we're like,
Oh.
1,000 damage.
Sometimes you need that reality slap. Someone to tell you, stop being a bitch. I'm like, you're right.
You're right.
Dang. Is there anything specifically you want to talk about on the podcast today?
No, because there's too many to list. Or
That's true.
it's just, you know how when you have a great weekend, you come back to work and everyone's like, "How was your weekend?" And you could go on forever, but you just can only say good because it's all flooding your head and you can't pinpoint one thing to start off with.
I had a great weekend. Like, what did you do? Where do I begin?
Sometimes you just have to figure out the highlights or something. But then again, it's hard to talk about the highlights because you just have to remember it at the moment. I feel like when you're put on the spot, it's just hard to bring up everything at once, you know.
Yeah.
For me, I actually have a hard time remembering like what I do. They're like, "Oh, did we actually do that?" Like, "Oh," but I do remember. Like, I feel like I remember the feeling of doing something. You know, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember." Like, we had a great time that night, but I don't really remember what we did. You know,
You don't remember? We bonded.
babe, babe.
You just remember being happy and having good things.
Right. So every time someone comes on the show, we have like while we're recording, people always are like, "Wow, I never knew it was like this behind the camera," or like, "Wow, I never knew you guys like cut so many things out," or like, well, "Yeah, we're phonies, we fake it."
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 hour is literally 10 hours of recording time.
We just cut out that 9 hours of
You're giving away our secrets.
It's like the Eric Andre show.
Somehow he makes that work though. Like he makes nothing into something.
I heard it's literally like 5 grueling hours of just like them drugged out or whatever.
And like
And
being
they
weird
take
and
out
stuff.
like the highlights.
Wow.
Which I'm just like, who agrees to 5 hours of this interview?
It's nuts. I mean, I've seen them have like people come on and it just make them really uncomfortable. Just doing the stupidest shit around them and making the guests feel like, what the fuck am I doing here? They just start second guessing with their decisions.
Like, I'm gonna fire my agent.
Yeah. It's a pretty funny show. So, Sinjin, I know you've been friends with Alan. How did you guys meet?
That's a good question. So, we go way back since 2012.
Ooh.
We met freshman year of college at U Sciences.
Mm-hmm.
It was because it was like all the commuters would hang out in the same place.
Right.
So then you're just like kind of fall into the same, you like kind of bump into the same people all the time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do
I
you have
don't-
any classes together, or?
one class, but that wasn't even the first year.
Yeah.
It was in the second year. We literally just met in the gym. Not lifting weights, but lounging.
Like kind of like the
Ah.
sack at Temple, but our sack was like in our gym.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's like a lounge attached to the gym.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Mhm.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Since 2012. Wow.
Been driving this boy so many miles.
Yo,
Yeah.
I feel the same thing too, dude. I know he got his own driver's license and everything. Now he can take himself anywhere.
It literally changed the game.
Exactly, dude.
In the last like year, I feel like I've done so much more than like in the past like
Lifetime
10 years.
since I was born.
It is a huge convenience, but like I feel because I drive a lot for work and just I'm getting kind of over it very quickly.
Mhm. I feel like driving has it since I started driving for myself, it has opened up so many doors and opportunities for me to like do things that I want to do without depending on someone else.
Right.
You know, I didn't have that gate way of someone, or that limitation of having someone to drive me to do something that I want to do. Now, if I want to do something, I just take myself. You know, that's just great. Having that independence.
For sure. It definitely helped. It made me do stuff on my own now. 'Cause, like now that I can actually drive, like I can actually go. Like if I have a craving to go watch a movie, I can just go. You know, it used to be like, oh, I'd have to like hit somebody up, like, hey, you want to go to the movies? Can you drive me? Now it's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go watch a movie by myself. Or like, I'm craving this food. I'm just gonna drive out to that restaurant and get it. You know,
I too enjoy being a strong, independent black woman.
who don't need
No man.
nobody.
No man, nobody. Oh man, life is great when you can just drive yourself. That's why I'm trying to get like Brandon and Austin to get. Brandon and Austin are Tiffany's brother and cousin, but they're like the only two people. Oh, and Vicky too.
Wait. Oh, yeah, okay. But she lives in New York, so like they have like one of the best metro systems.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Next to Chicago.
like, what is stopping Brandon and Austin from getting their licenses?
I don't know. I guess it's a lack of motivation. I guess
I
can't.
definitely understand that. I didn't get mine until way late.
I mean, I wouldn't say they haven't tried. Like they got the permits and everything, and
Okay.
I have taken them out. Like
Practicing and stuff?
yeah, practicing, but like I feel like they're not taking the initiative to like, hey Tim, I want to
Like, okay.
yeah. So like they only will learn how to drive it if it's convenient for them or if someone brings it up to them.
That's pretty much how it was for me until it was like, you have a job, like you got to start working in 2 weeks and you need to drive to your patient's house. And I was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Crash course, practice 1 week. And I went to go take the test the next week and I was like, ready to go.
Yeah, it wasn't the motivation of doing a favor for his friends who would
Yeah.
drive 2 hours out of their way to drop him off and then get home 2 hours later
Yes.
daily.
So out of the way, dude. It like sucked because you like lived in a part of Philly where no one else lives, and then everyone else is like, I live up in the suburbs, and then I think you live in like South Philly.
So in college, I live in South Jersey.
South Jersey.
Oh shit!
So I drove him all the way to Northeast Philly over like the craziest potholes and then
Tin
drove
nose.
like an hour and a half back home to South Jersey
Don't worry.
at like 3 a.m.
Tim knows about the potholes.
Fuck the potholes, dude. So on our way, there's a story to this. So on the way, we were having a Christmas party at his house.
I think it was New Year's.
No, it was Christmas because I was working
okay.
New Year's.
Okay.
So we were at a Christmas party, and on the way there, I was like 2 minutes away from his house, and then I'm going up this kind of like hill over a slope of the street, and then once I get to the top, out of nowhere, like what the fuck? I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And then now my car's like driving crooked, and like you feel the car on like one side more than the other.
No.
Yes, and it happened.
Oh my
And I could
God.
hear when I was driving, you could hear the. I'm like, this is, fuck this. I hate 2019 right now.
It was literally like a minute from my house.
Yeah.
Barely a minute from my house.
Do you know where that Rita is or the cereal bowl?
Yeah, that Rita.
Yeah, that was like that intersection. It just fucked me up because there was like
yeah.
no cones. There were no cones to tell me that there was a goddamn pothole, and I got 2 flat tires from it.
Dude, after that night, we saw like a hazard sign thing, like, but then it gets knocked over like all the time, so you can't even see it.
Oh my god, I fucking hate Philly. I fucking hate driving through Philly, dude. Anything that's bad happened to my car has been because of Philly.
Yeah. Philly roads suck.
My worst fear is not the roads per se, but like my shit getting broken into. That's like a big fear of mine.
That's happened to me. My car was parked in Chinatown. Someone bashed my window open,
Yeah.
and then they just stole Tiffany's like backpack, which had like a lot of stuff in there.
Damn.
Yeah, my car's been broken into. My car was parked, and it got hit after when we come back from a club one night. I ran over a pothole, lost 2 flat tires. Oh, it's just Philly. All that has happened in Philly. Nothing has happened outside of
In the suburbs.
suburbs.
Cut.
My voice cracks all the time.
Philly.
Really?
The suburbs.
So what's going on in your week, Sinjin?
My week has been busy at work. So I work at a generic pharmaceutical company as a assistant formulator.
Wow, you're like eager. You're just putting it out there. People can dox you now.
That's all I can say. Everything's proprietary.
Nice. How long have you been working at this job for?
So I've been at the company since 2016 of August, and I didn't work in as this position. I took this position recently, 3 months ago. I used to work in analytical chemistry department, and now I'm in research and development. So this role is still pretty brand new for me, but it is something I was very much interested after graduation. So right now it's just trying to brush off the rust and reignite that interest and passion from what I had before. But the company's been great. They're very generous with their way of taking care of employees, and generous too with allowing their employees to have opportunities to grow beyond their specific role in the company. So that was really great because I got to learn a lot of this and that, and I felt like that well-rounded me as a future employee elsewhere or in my career.
Do you think? Because I know you guys were like having a lot of people leave recently. Do you feel like that was the culture before that, or do you think like because they saw so many people leaving, they're like, we need to do like a little bit of like a revamp, like change policy so that we can keep the people that we have and or like promote the people that we have, you know?
So there was recently a mass exodus last year. Starting in like March of last year, at least one person left the AC department until the end, basically, of the year.
It's like once a month.
Once a month.
Like
So
someone
like
is leaving.
Holy shit.
once someone's 2 weeks was up, bam, another person's 2 weeks was in. And it was kind of depressing at the time because a lot of these people were like the backbone of the company, and
They're like your friends too, right?
my friends, my good friends.
Oh man,
And
that's the worst.
like you're sad to see them go, but you're also extremely happy for them to move on to their next step in their career. And to answer your question, I think it's because in my former department, the director was very open to allowing everyone to learn whatever. So the people leaving were my coworkers in my team. And I think it's because of that growth and nurturing that they were able to find the next step in their career. So it kind of helped them push their career forward.
It was like one person puts in their 2 weeks and you're like, wait, you can do that? We can quit? I'm out of here. Next person.
So I'm not stuck here.
So like they would go on to I had a friend who pivoted to analytical software. Someone got into a biology lab in Rutgers, Newark, and another person, a few people went into big pharma, and I think a lot of it is due to the fact that they learned so much so quickly in the department, and because of the challenges and the wide variety of responsibilities, they felt confident enough and qualified enough to try something bigger. And everyone left amicably. There were no burnt bridges and stuff like that. So I think it was very positive.
This episode is brought to you by Bleep Pharmaceutical Company.
Yeah, we need people.
I feel like it's just a big hit to morale when you see like your closest friends leaving.
Yeah.
When the people that you really like to work with, because you feel like I feel like you build such like a nice solid foundation, a bond and relationship with your coworkers, up until the point where it's like, I feel like when you know when they're leaving, the whole atmosphere kind of changes a little bit. The work environment. Maybe you just it's just kind of depressing to see. It's like, oh man, like I miss my friend one because we used to have all this good stuff going together.
Do you
now.
still talk to those?
Yeah, I try my best to keep in touch with a lot of them.
Do you guys hang out at all?
The ones who stayed in the area occasionally will hang out. Not as frequently, but honestly, it's still good quality time because it's now outside of work. So you're not restricted with professional behavior and you can talk more beyond just work venting.
More casual.
Yeah.
That's the best.
But it is like what you said, Tin, like when you see your best friend go away, it's very sad. And you want to put on a brave face and you are genuinely happy for them,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you're torn to shreds.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's anyone in your life that, like, not from work, but like, let's say, like, any friend that you've had like leave, and then, like, do you still feel like, oh, you need to keep in touch with them the same way you need to keep in touch with like these friends?
Could you rephrase your question?
I mean, I just mean like, so these are work friends, right? So like,
Right.
I'm just saying, like, are there any like other kind of friends that you have like that did the same thing who leave, and then you still have to like try to keep in touch with them, try to reach out, that sort of
Like
thing?
outside of work.
Yeah, just like people like
Yeah, like,
not
so
work
your
friends, but like regular friends.
like IRL friends, kind
Yeah.
of in a way.
Not your aim friends.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because we know people who moved away, like
Yeah.
like Kevin from Hawaii, he moved to
Mm-hmm.
Hawaii, and then do you feel like you need to reach out sometimes? Do you feel like, oh, like that's someone I need to keep in touch with?
I don't feel like I need to, but I do get those urges that I want to know what's going on in their lives. I'll like shoot them a text like, "Hey, what's up? How you been? Just thinking about you. You know, just let them know that they're my thoughts and like just wondering how you doing, what's going on in your life. Gets like small updates here and there, and then yeah, I mean it is sad. I think I talked to Ashley and Sabrina about this before. We were at dinner one time, where I was telling them like that my biggest fear, like going into the future, is that like everyone like, that we're so close to here starts moving away. Everyone's like slowly moving away one by one by one by one, and sooner or later you find to realize that you're like a lot of people that you used to be with or hung out with is just like are different states now. You know,
Right.
like Ashley went to Harrisburg, and then like Vicky's going to New York, and then like shit, like who's the next person that's gonna leave? And like our group of friends are getting smaller at home, but that's my biggest fear. Everyone moving away, and like,
Right.
we don't see each other as often anymore.
Who do you think is gonna stick around, or who do you like? Who can you imagine, like, being friends with for a long time, and you like stay friends for a long time? This is like the porch test, right? Like, who can you see yourself sitting on a porch with when you're like 60 or 70 years old? You know, who are those? Can you think of people like right away, or do you have to actually like consider it?
I can think of people right away. The hard part is just narrowing it down, maybe, to be more critical about who is going to stay on that list, because both of you guys can be on my porch. The love is 100 from the get-go, you know? Like,
And then I feel like I ask myself that question a lot, like, who's going to be on my porch? And it always seems like it changes. Like, I'm like, oh, wow, I've seen this person like 4 or 5 times just this month, you know? Or like, I've seen this person like 20 times in the last like 2 weeks, you know? And then sometimes it's like, oh, wait, I'll see them at, like the frequency I see people changes a lot. Like, oh, I'll see them once a month, and then it becomes like a couple months before I see them again, or all of a sudden we hang out like almost every day. So it changes. It's like,
It does. I feel like it doesn't stay permanent.
Yeah.
But I feel like, at least for me, I know my family, like close families of mine, close family of Tiffany's, will be
Like your nephews and stuff.
Yeah.
I think
Very porch people.
and then Tiffany
Like
and
Brandon, Austin, Tom, Becky, Ashley, Sabrina, my nephews, my brothers.
But then again, it's like some of those people already moved away, and I feel like those are the kind of people who don't like staying in one place. Like Ashley doesn't like staying in one place that much, or Vicky doesn't like staying in one place that much.
True.
So I don't know. They could be on the porch, but I imagine them like traveling a lot, going places.
Right.
They don't have to stay on the porch forever.
I'm just saying, like at the end of it's like it's just like it's not a actually present like they're gonna be on your porch, more like kind of like that metaphysical kind of way, like who's gonna be like your close friends when you're old. That's basically what I'm asking, you know. It's
Right.
not like who's actually gonna like come see you. It's like who is your crew at the end of the day, like who is your main people that you like hang out with.
It's hard.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
It really changes. Like I feel like it changes.
It changes a lot.
Like
yeah.
the people I would say now will probably will not be the same a year later,
Yeah.
based on how often I see them. Yeah.
But when I think about it, it's hard to take them off my porch because
Like your MySpace top 8, you're like, damn, like I gotta move this guy to 9th place.
you think about it, every moment shared with that person who would potentially be on that porch was genuine and cherished. And to take them off the porch is kind of saying like it wasn't that great.
or it depends, I think. Like, oh, we had a great time hanging out, but you're gonna become like you're gonna move away and we're not gonna be that close anymore. Or like we had a fun time like this year, but now you have a kid, now you're too busy, now we can't hang out as much. Then they slowly like get off your porch, get into their station wagon with their kids.
And they're your neighbor. Whoa.
That's like the biggest thing. Also, one thing that very scared me as well is that I was when I was working at Temple, my coworker was telling me that like she sees a lot of herself in me when she was younger, but like so much has changed since she was in the college. Like she told me that she hasn't seen like her college friends in about like 5-6 years. Reason why, because she had her own family.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, she doesn't have the time to see her friends anymore. Like her life is all about what she's doing for her kids and her husband, her family. So they come first, and then everyone
Right.
else comes after. And I'm like, fuck, dude. I don't know if I like want that, you know? Like I want to have my family, but I also want to keep my close friends close and like have my family hang out with my great close friends as well. And like I don't want to like lose touch with my close people, my inner circle.
I mean, I feel like we're close enough that you could bring us over and hang out with. We would love to hang out with your kids, but then it's like what happens when it's the reverse? Like we're going to go out and you're like, oh, I have the kid, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't come out tonight. I have the kid, that thing, that creature.
Have this responsibility to take care of. I don't know. That's another big fear of mine. But you know, wherever life takes me, that's where I'm going.
I feel like we were college friends and we still keep in touch. Like, it's interesting because I didn't hang out with that many people in college. It was like always you guys,
Right.
and it wasn't like it just sort of like carried over into life, and it didn't feel like oh, we graduated, we took like, and then we did our own thing, and then we like meet up again. It was just like a continuous flow. We were like always
growing together.
we were always hanging out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful feeling. It's a nice little bond you guys got going on there.
Yeah. I think what I'm trying to say about my porch is that like
It's
Yeah.
huge. He's
It's
got like
huge.
60 people on his porch.
I work for a pharmaceutical company. I can afford a huge porch.
I don't even have a porch. It's just a mansion.
Is that it's hard for me to choose and specify because it's like if I choose, it's kind of like limiting the love I put out to people, and I don't want to imply that because I'm not on social media really at all. I'm not on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm just on Snapchat because I got forced to get on it. So I actually lost contact with a lot of friends after college. And sometimes I think about it and I worry that, man, I hope they don't think I'm like ghosting them or I don't love them no more. It's just I'm doing my thing. But if we were ever to come back and meet up, the love is 100 still, right where we left off. You know?
That's good. Is there a particular reason why you're not on social media? Even
Yeah, there is.
Oh, you want to explain why?
Yeah, sure.
If you don't mind me
Okay.
asking.
Oh boy. Well, I got off of social media in 17 just because I went through a pretty rough breakup with a long time girlfriend of 6 years. And she had this like thing where whenever we went through a breakup when we were dating or whatever, she would just delete herself on social media. And then like it was really passive aggressive. And during the breakup, I just didn't want any of that noise from people finding out and from her deleting, coming back, and then passive aggressive tweets or posts. So I thought, I don't need that. You know, I'll just text people manually. And ever since then, it's been like pretty lightweight social life. Like, don't stress about having to maintain like an image. Worry about subconsciously comparing my state of life with someone else. Like, you know, like I'm happy for you that you're doing this, but man, I wish I was that successful or jealousy and stuff like that. Kind of rambling right now, but it was just to kind of avoid the toxicity of social media. And I thought I'd get back on after I was over the recovery process, but I'm not really motivated to.
Yeah, because I got off Facebook too, and like at first I was like, oh man, it's gonna be really hard to like not use Facebook because back then you used like Facebook every day, like all the time, and then I was like, you know what, it's becoming like a huge like sink of time, and I was like, I'm wasting time. I'm just gonna like take a break. So I just took I was like, it's only gonna be a couple of days away from Facebook. I'm just gonna take a break, and then I took like a week off and I just never went back. There was never an urge to be like, all right, I have to like check what's going on. It was just like, all right, got more time to do other stuff now.
Yeah, it's a good feeling because you have more time for yourself.
Yeah.
I do regret not being up to date with people's lives.
That is a big part of it. Like just knowing what people are up to or like all your like high school friends and like family and stuff. Because I have no idea what's going on in my like anybody's lives anymore.
I feel like it's a balancing act in a way. Like it's nice to know what the people that you were so close with, what's going on with their lives. But at the same time, like there's a double-edged sword where you just kind of find yourself like shit. You start comparing yourself to other people where that becomes a bad habit too. You know, like, oh, they look so much more. They're going on this vacation. They're traveling. I wish I could be traveling more. Or they're this part of life, and why am I not that part of life with them? You know,
I think what people forget is that everything on the internet is curated. You know, people choose what to post. People choose what to say on social media, and it's not always the full picture. You know, it's not always like what is actually happening. And like, they may look happy. They may look like they're in like a good place, but you never know what's going on behind the scenes.
Right.
That's true.
And that was probably a big factor in the pitfall of my relationship.
Yeah,
Just like not realizing that everything is like, photoshopped.
It's all planned, you know? Like everything you say, everything you post is like you think about it before you're like, Yeah, it's
Yeah.
curated. It's not real.
Could you elaborate a little more about how that was really tied into your relationship?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could, but it's a long story.
I mean, we have
We got time.
we have an hour.
We got all this time, baby. I mean, if you don't want to share, that's fine too. You say no comment.
I'll give it in bits and pieces, and as I come back as a guest, I'll show more. Well, the skinny of it is that in the first year of my relationship with this girl, towards like the end of the first year, a previous crush of mine re-entered my life, and I was like an immature high school boy, not really in control of their emotions. So I started talking to the girl again and tried to clear the air. I was like, hey, I'm dating now. I'd hope we can just stay friends and keep it platonic. But FYI, had a hardcore crush on you like a couple of years ago that I never got to tell you because a friend of mine made me do a favor and miss an opportunity. So I was still pretty salty about it. But I was like, that's clearing the air. No, it wasn't. It's just kind of opened another door to kind of keep talking because apparently she felt the same. And when, like, at that age, when someone reciprocates your feelings, it's just exciting. We were just, like, talking and texting a lot, like, and my girlfriend found out, like, she went through my phone and just, like, called it off there. And so we broke up, and then a lot of work later and some time we got back together and she somehow forgave me. But it was a wedge in the relationship and a cloud hanging over us till we broke up.
Because the thing is, if you think about it, it's like they will never like look at you the same way.
Right.
There's always going to be that, even if they like do everything they can to move past it and like learn from it and grow from it, there's always like a little something,
The little small doubt.
something in the like nudge,
Yeah.
like prickling you and scratching at it. You're like, what is that?
A little piece of hair, like,
Yeah.
being, like tickling your neck a little bit.
Yeah, facts. And that was a big like baggage we carried throughout the remaining years. And it wore us down, but we like did our best to stay together. And I never like went back and did that. But as the years passed on, I found out like, oh, that crush was also dating someone at the time. And it was basically a mirrored like experience. And throughout the years, I was struggling. We were both struggling to make it work and rebuild the trust and maintain the trust. And it was very stressful balancing that in college. And then in the meantime, I'd see like stuff from them on social media, and I thought, damn, it's all like sunshines, rainbow, and
It started to affect you, right? You see how happy, quote unquote happy she seemed. You're like, dang, why am I not there? You're like,
Yeah.
why am I not like, why
And
am I
how
not
is-
moved past this yet?
Wait, them as in your ex or
my crush,
your
like,
crush? Okay.
former crush. How like her and her boyfriend stayed together, and it
Right.
seemed like it didn't cause any problems. It didn't seem like she got any blame for any of it when it was like equally our faults.
Right. It's like the
it takes
same
two
situation.
to tango,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it was really insidious in a way. And I wanted to talk about it, like my struggles with it, but I couldn't talk about it with my girlfriend because when I brought it up, it would rehash those old wounds. And my attention would just be to help her feel better or distract her from or move forward, like attend to her rather than myself. And then because of that, I thought, well, I can't confide in her about this, but I need to. And a lot of my friends at the time I didn't confide with them, and the other friends who knew about the situation kind of like sided with her, rightfully so. So I thought I was all alone, and I assumed no one would just be sympathetic and give me an ear. So I was like, the only person who would understand me is that girl. And so, like, social media makes it very easy to hit someone up.
Right.
And you do that.
It's a slippery slope, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
a
you do
slippery
that when,
slope.
like, you're at your limit. You're like, you don't know what to do. You're pretty sad and out of your wits' end. And it's been never a productive conversation with her. And at some point, like, that shit got brought out, and my girlfriend found out, and she was just like, we're done. Like, I can't believe you were talking to her behind my back for so long. And yeah, like, and that's the skinny of it, really.
Do you feel like that is more of a violation of the relationship than like something physical happening? Is it because it's like it was prolonged and it was just like there's like an emotional connection there that's with someone else, you know, and you're like, wow, I feel like that might be worse. I'm glad you talked about this. Bring her out, guys.
Surprise!
Holy shit.
Surprise guest.
Jerry Springer. I knew I was nervous for a reason.
It's really hard to have no one to talk about, no one to vent to, you know, because
AJ and I were not sympathetic.
No, and you were right not to be.
We were like, you fucked up. We were like your other friends were like, no, it's like, it's okay. Like you'll get, we were like, no, you piece of shit.
oh no. When someone needed to help most, he brought him down.
But I agree, it was my fault because I could have easily avoided the whole situation had I just confided in my close friends from the get-go. But I didn't, and I probably should have just told her from the get-go, like, this is a lot more difficult on me, and I would need your,
Right.
support and understanding. Like, I know it's hard for you to be sympathetic with me about this, but I'm not trying to invalidate your struggles with mine. Like, sure, they're kind of conflicting, but that's why we're in this partnership and relationship. And if this isn't going to work, we should do the wise thing and just cut it off. But we put so much work into like making it work, and it was just a failure of communication, really.
That's crazy. Yeah, I feel like communication here was a really big factor. Had she been more open to listening to what you were going through, do you think that would have helped a lot?
I think so, yeah. I think I mean, I don't want to think about it too much because it took a while to get over this.
Right.
And I think subconsciously I'm not letting myself like really think about an answer to your question because it might open up that.
That's true. We maybe should have asked any what if questions, but
Yeah. What if is the worst question? I hate that question.
the worst. Like
What if? Like, what if I had said something different? What if like we could have did this? Or what if like I don't know? It's just I don't like that because there's nothing you can do.
Nothing.
Because it's these hypotheticals are like sure, like we can think about what if things were different, but things aren't different, right? Things happen the way that they did, and it's just you gotta live with your decisions, live with your mistakes, and like learn from it.
Yeah. It was definitely the one experience in my life where I don't know if you guys had an experience like this, but as it's happening, it's like a out of body experience. You're just kind of like, wait, what the fuck? Restart. Like, last checkpoint, please. Like, this can't be happening right now. I could not have fucked up this bad. and you're just like thinking, yeah, this is just a bad dream. This is gonna like right itself. Like I'm gonna wake up and I'm like, wow, that was a great lesson. I'm glad I'm not going there, but it's happening.
Load last save.
Load last save. You're just like,
We get wiped in Divinity. We just load last save.
it was that. It was just,
Yeah,
and
that's
it
always
is.
like a scary feeling where like you're trying to like convince yourself that it did not happen. I remember waking up on your couch and like seeing like I just like checked my phone. I was like, oh no, like oh how did I do this? We gotta go back in time. I gotta invent a time machine right now and just go back like 8 hours.
1,000 yard stare.
What does that mean?
Just like
It's like, oh, we like fucked up.
like PTSD, like
it's like that
flashbacks.
It's that one meme of the kid that put ramen cup noodles in the microwave without any water, and he just like yeah.
Yeah.
But are you feeling much better about it? Like about it now?
Yeah, I
No.
think so. I remember the first like 4 months, I was either hanging out with him or our friend AJ daily. It got to the point like we were eating out and just keeping myself busy so much. My friend was like, "Hey man, like I don't mind hanging with you, but like my wallet is so thin right now. Can we just like eat in or like
Especially because we were still in school and it was pretty like tough.
yeah."
Or I was still in school.
Yeah, so like Age and I were working and we were just like I was living at home at the time, so I still had like a good budget, but he was living on his own and I was yeah, you're right. But I definitely in a better place now, and I found like, I was very hard on myself afterwards. Took a while to forgive myself, and every now and then like it'll come back and you haven't forgiven yourself, but 98% of the time I love myself.
That's good. That's the end game, though. You gotta always have to learn how to love yourself. You know.
Yeah. And it was just nice that like it led so many doors for me to like meet new beautiful people who are great friends now, and been very open about sharing this with people. And it's been a surprising blessing to hear people be sympathetic and be gentle to me, even though I don't think I deserve that. And yeah, it's just like love is boundless. There's an infinite amount of love. You can't be stingy with it.
Definitely not. You can't. And like, it all really boils down to
I feel like I always give mine away. I give too much.
It's fine. They'll
your-
come back.
put your heart on the sleeve there.
Yeah,
You know, just give it out.
I think it's like 0 to 1,000.
But yeah, I think it all comes and boils down to like people make mistakes, you know, and it's all about being a human. People make mistakes. It's about learning from them and like moving forward from it too. It's just everyone needs that support, and like if no one's empathetic to you during a hard time, it just makes it that much more harder. But just to have someone listen to you and just say it's like it's okay, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if no one like you feel like no one understands you, then it makes you like bitter. You're like nobody gets it, you know? And then you start like it like creates more distance and more distance and more distance.
Yeah.
You just start feeling more isolated.
Right.
And you start to like pick at your own character and think like, man, there's something wrong with me, or how can anyone love me? Yeah.
Relatable.
Because I feel like we might have a shared experience where not just like in a romantic endeavor, but like something from childhood and your upbringing stays with you, is that like growing up, I was always pressured to overachieve in school, to develop a talent, a hobby, to just be above average in everything I do to make my parents satisfied and
Yeah.
happy.
I think like that's like a Asian thing. Like a lot of Asian uh, young people feel that way or experience the same thing.
Yeah.
Especially because like once I started, like my sister and I did well in school, like we did, and then they would be like, "Oh, you're so smart," and they keep like, "Oh, you're so good." Like I bet you always get like good grades, and then you're like, you start to feel the pressure. You're like, "Oh shit, what if I don't get a good grade? Like what's gonna happen then?" So then you start like obsessing over it. You start like putting in like too much work, and you kind of stress yourself out about it.
And the slightest dip from 100 is it's a 99, but it feels like you got a fucking 0.
Because it's like, oh, it's not as high as last time. What happened? What are you doing? You're like, it's still an A. Like, why am
Yeah.
I? What do you mean?
Are you still not happy with this A that I'm getting?
Right. And I get they're just being inquisitive about it. They're not like trying to put you down, but I feel like my parents naturally ask questions in the negative form, like,
Why didn't you do
why
better?
didn't you do this? And
Why
it's
didn't
just
you
like,
do better? Like, oh,
and I don't think they're trying to imply that you suck or whatever, but like subconsciously, like when you always frame a question negatively and repetitive exposure to that, it does some damage internally, like to your self esteem. So it's better to like ask neutrally or assume the positive, I think.
that's why like around like high school, I just stopped caring. I was like, you know what? I give up, and I just put in just the minimum amount to pass, and then that was like my game plan until like college.
That's how it was through high school. Like sophomore year of high school is probably the best year of high school for me
Me too.
because I just
Well, no, not sophomore. It would be
Junior year for
junior
you?
year was the best year for
sophomore-
me.
Oh my god! I'll just go to school. I would just not pay attention, go back home, play games, rinse and repeat for the whole year.
Dang,
That
I
was my
just cheated my
sophomore
way
year.
through 10th grade.
I cheated my way through my senior year. I was in AP class, and I was like, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And then my friends would just text me the answers on the exam. So I was like,
Wow.
alright, cool.
Just
Damn, you guys cheated?
of course.
Yeah. But I never took the AP exam for chem because I just knew I would not do good. I just did enough just to get by. This is what it is. High school is, I feel like part of high school is also like finding your wits about yourself too.
Yeah.
For sure.
I feel like high school is not really about learning like academics. It was more about learning how to interact with people and like learning how to like socialize and learning how to like be comfortable with like finding your identity, even though like that's what high school is for. It's not about learning. I just cheated my way through high school.
It's true. Because I feel like you put enough work into studying, it should be like not easy, but you should be able to understand at like a basic level.
You know what I learned? I learned how to cheat.
Yeah,
I learned how to
pretty
cheat
much.
on a test.
Pretty much. So you say you never cheat before?
No, I'm just out here like, it's that one meme like where it's like that it's like they're out here like da 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 da, and then he's like, wait, what? You guys have been getting paid?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wait, what? You guys have been cheating this whole time? I just took out the flat L. I'm like, yeah, I didn't know shit.
I mean, it's like we were always cheating, but whenever there's an opportunity to help boost something you're not too familiar with, it's a collective like a community of like people are trying to help each other out during the exam.
Because you can't cheat unless you have allies. So
Yeah.
it's about learning how to make friends, learning how to
Exactly.
get people on your side. That's the real studying.
Like
the
sharing
real...
notes and everything, and like it's a collective work. It's a group effort. Then I think.
One of the most complicated like cheating things we ever had in high school was like, so there was my friend and I, we did like pen spinning. We did like the tricks with the pen.
Yes.
God damn it.
We somehow we matched like each trick to a different letter on the test.
Oh shit.
So we would just he would sit like because the tables were like in a semicircle or whatever, and he would sit on the opposite side. We just and like just mark them down. We both got A's, so that was great.
That's so elaborate. I love it. Oh man, you always have to find your own quirky ways to get like how am I supposed to send this information to my partner? Like how do I know to give them the question number and the answer to that question?
Do you remember the tune-in exams?
Oh,
He's like everyone using their different tricks to cheat on the test. That's-
So funny. Like how Sasuke uses Sharingan, just like
yeah, copy that guy's hand movements and stuff.
welcome to the other side.
I really can't relate.
That's hilarious. So water.
That's why I open it beforehand.
But yeah, I feel like cheating also has helped you develop ways to like think outside the box that, I guess in a way more critical thinking. Like how can I do this the best way possible without getting caught?
It's like creative. You gotta be creative and like, all right, you like. Then you're doing like team building stuff. You're like,
Yeah.
all right, you handle this one, I handle this part. We come together,
Kind of like using a scientific method approach. Like, all right, we're gonna set this hypothesis. This is to be our method to see how it comes out.
It's like, all right. Then you find the results. You're like, it didn't work.
Yeah.
We gotta try something else. Change the variables.
Exactly. There's a whole system to this, Sinjin.
I'm just listening here like, I don't condone any of this. It's impressive, but I'm like, not for me.
But it's like it's high school, so it's low stakes. But I feel like once you're in like college, it's a little bit harder to do
Oh
that.
yeah, definitely.
And because college sets you up for like your career and the rest of
Yeah.
your life, you probably don't want to like cheat your way through it.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say like I've seen some like I'm not gonna name anybody, but like some PT students in our class just cheated their way through, and you're like, that sucks. They're gonna be treating people, like they're actually gonna be like taking care of people. I was like, that's a bummer.
It's scary to see that because, well, that's what the boards are for too. At least, definitely in like the medical
Right.
profession,
Yeah.
the boards are the gateway. Like if you can't get to those boards, you're definitely not gonna get a career out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yeah. I mean, like I know some people in nursing school that got by but bare minimum without like barely trying, but like, and I know they didn't like get through boards, and like they're still stuck in like, pre-board phase, and it's scary. Like you really have to know your stuff.
Cheating is bad. I've learned my lesson.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
How hard were you on yourself from all that?
Extremely hard.
Yeah.
Like-
there was like a period where he was like freaking Eeyore. He was just like always be like, I'm just like, we were like, all right, we get it.
And I would just shut up, but internally it just kept going on and on.
Because it was just like a lot of like, man, like, why didn't I do this? Like, it just like, get into like this loop.
Mm-hmm.
This
Like a
like
vicious
mental,
cycle.
yeah, like this vicious like, and then the more you stay in it, the more like hard on yourself you are.
I mean, I think that's a good quality to at least you realize what you've done, like what you did, or like admit to what you've done, and like actually look back and like find I don't want to say just like try to work on it. Like you know that it's something that you did and you're not denying it.
Yeah, there's a fine line between like just like learning and growing from something and like being hard on yourself and just like full on like self-loathing sort of thing. You know, it's very, you gotta walk a fine line.
Yeah. Definitely felt like I was dancing
Yeah.
back and forth from that. But I think what snapped me out of it was that fortunately when I'm like under a lot of stress and anxiety, I just talk to anyone about it. Like I'd hit up like friends I haven't talked to in years, months, and just was like, here's my shit right now. I'm sorry. Like I still love you and I care about everything else, but like I just like gotta like express this, and
Yeah.
I trust and love you enough to value your opinion and input.
That's a good way to get like a lot of different perspectives, right?
Right. Yeah. I even talk to strangers out on the street about it on like some
Like you get like taken to a party, you meet someone for the first time, and you're like, oh, so what do you do? I oh
just like corner them. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think?
I need you to listen to me and tell me what you think. No. Like, oh shit. He's like unloading on me.
I'll pick up Alan, and I know he can't drive. I was like, you're stuck in the car.
Yeah.
Lock the door.
You can't go home until you hear this all.
I mean, I feel like you've come a long way though.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've grown a lot.
I definitely recognize that. And I think like all the love I received from people, it just kept humbling me even more that like my problems are not yours, and like they're insignificant from your perspective, I think, but you don't treat it as such. And I'm wrong to assume that like my problems are insignificant, but in fact, like you're giving me respect and value and your time. And that just made me really a firm believer that like every interaction and every moment you have with a person has to be 100% love and like respect and attention. Like we're here for a good time, not a long time.
That reminds me of a podcast I just listened to. It was like one of the like a TED Talk or whatever, like a TED. It was
TEDx or TED?
It was like TED Daily, so it was like a short one. But he kind of talked about the same thing. He was kind of talking about how the reason we're so depressed and like we have so much anxiety is because we're the most isolated we've ever been in our entire lives. It's so easy to get like disconnected from everyone else because social media puts a wall between you, and then like the internet puts a wall between you, and all these things are like setting up like surrounding yourself or like self-isolating yourself. And like he was saying a one way to like combat that, to combat the depression and like feeling alone and like feeling like your problems aren't heard or valid, is talking to other people. You know, it's about building communities and like connecting with other people, and that's what helps you feel less alone in the world, helps you feel less depressed, right? So like he was saying the most important thing is like communicating and like community, because I mean we're social animals, you know. Humans are just like, the reason we survive this long is because we formed groups and we work together. So it's about building like your own support system, building a people, like surrounding yourself with people that you feel will put you up, you know, like prop you up, keep you stable.
That's like a support system.
Right. Because like you can't always do stuff on your own. Like I know like a lot of people who feel like, oh, these are my problems, I have to figure them out myself.
Yeah.
And that's a part of it. There's a part where you need to figure out for your own, but it's okay to like lean on people. It's okay to ask for help, or like just have someone be there for you to listen to you so you can like work through it, you know?
Yeah. And there doesn't have to be a critical threshold for that. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to wait till the ship is exploding and sinking. You could do it when that hole in the ship is a size of a pin. Like you don't have to wait till it gets to critical levels.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just like people are afraid to like ask for help. because you seem weak. You're like, oh, I can't handle. Like, there's all this stigma with like asking for help or being in a bad place. But it's more about like everyone has been there. Like most people have been there. So
Yeah.
I feel like just by communicating, you learn that you're not the only one struggling. It makes it more real and more easier for you to come in terms with what you're feeling by learning what other people are feeling too.
yeah,
And it becomes a collective struggle, and everyone works together to move forward and get past their own individual problems and their own combined problems
yeah.
too.
Because a lot of it is like you start to feel like like, oh, my feelings are wrong. You know, you start to think like I shouldn't be feeling this way. But then once you hear other people are going through the same thing, you're like, oh, my feelings are real, are valid because, and then someone else is feeling the same thing, you know?
Your feelings are never wrong. It's your actions that can be wrong.
Yeah.
You never have to invalidate your feelings. Like, I felt like, damn, I am attracted to another girl while I'm in this relationship. Like, and I kept trying to invalidate that feeling instead of addressing it, you
Right.
know?
It's like,
I
oh,
should.
I shouldn't be feeling that way. Like it's wrong to feel that way. But when you put that bias on it, it automatically becomes like you all would, it shouldn't be like that. You know, it should be like, they're real, they're valid. And now you have to face them. You know, you can't try to push them down.
Yeah, you can't. I feel like you can't deny it. You just have to learn and acknowledge that it's there, and come to terms with it. But acknowledging that you may have those feelings, but knowing that you're like, be aware of what the actions that you're taking to about that.
Right.
You know?
It's like realizing that your feelings are not wrong, just intense.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
it feels overwhelming and it feels scary, but that doesn't make them wrong necessarily, right?
I agree, because you really can't control how you feel. It's just, you really can't.
No.
It's all about
Unfortunately.
yeah. You can't control how you feel, but you can control what you do about it.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you get drunk and you do dumb stuff.
That's also true, but it is not an excuse and a
Yeah, it's not an
justification
excuse.
for any kind of fooling around.
Agreed.
Just
It's not an excuse.
keep your shit to yourself. Keep your hands to
It's just a
yourself.
risky slope, because of course, with like alcohol, you just lose the inhibitions. Your inhibitions kind of go away,
Right.
and it makes it for a little more easier for you to fuck up in the long run. You know, you're not thinking 100% clearly when you're under the influence of anything.
Just wanted to give a specific shout out to a friend up in New York in dental school, because of all the people I told this story to, she was the most gentle about her receiving of it. And
Does she listen to this?
I don't know, but like, I wasn't asking for her forgiveness, and it was like years after the fact, and I thought I was over it. But when I was retelling her the whole story, the habit of being extra hard on myself came out, and like the first thing she said was that it's like not your fault. Like, if you don't have to be so hard on yourself, because that wasn't your intention, and like, you are an amazingly nice person. And because of that, like, I felt like a lot of the walls I kept up internally just crumbled down, and I felt like she's made me a more lovable person.
Yeah, shout out to her.
Shout out to you. Good luck on your exams and practicals.
I mean,
Always cheering.
I met her like 2 times, 3 times. She's really nice.
Aw, that's
Very.
so sweet.
Worked together for about a year. Then she pieced out for dental school. Definitely the saddest I've been of someone leaving, but also happiest.
Damn. Shout out to her, dude.
Yep.
And this is nice that when you're such in a vulnerable state and someone's there to like give you all that support and love and like kind of like give you a pat on the back and like saying like it's
Yeah.
okay.
Like
You know?
you make yourself so vulnerable, and then like you'll get a pat or like something gentle, but like this felt more like I just like dropped my arms down, made myself so vulnerable, and she just like pulled me in for an embrace, like that. It was very, very.
It's extremely rare to find someone you can be like vulnerable with, and you feel like you have like a really good connection, and it's just like, wow, this feels right, like, and I just like spending time with them. I like talking to them, and it's just like it's so fucking rare.
Yeah, I mean, those are the type of people that you should definitely keep close in your life, because for you to be vulnerable to open to someone, that's like a good indicator to know who's gonna stick around in your life and who's gonna like
Right.
not be there.
Like the people who you try to bare your soul to, and then they like get weirded out or walk away. That's like
That's
not gonna last.
Yeah, that's not meant to be. Like, peace. But like for those the ones who are actually like, you know what, you need a hug and I'm here for you. Come in. Like those are the people that are going to stay around for the longest time.
For sure.
They're going to treat you right no matter. Those are the people that you can rely on for emotional support, for any kind of support. And like, you just got to remember who they are too.
Exactly. And you gotta be that person yourself first.
Definitely. I'm glad you were able to find someone like that too. Help you bring out those dark times and be the best that you can be.
Like she wasn't the only one, but that moment made her like at the top for me.
Your porch people.
Yeah.
What are your top porch people?
Your MySpace top 8.
Oh shit.
Your Wire.
I think it's good now.
Your MySpace top 8.
Where's it at now?
116. You want to wrap it up?
All right. Yeah. So, well, you're taking the lead on this one. So,
Okay. So, at the end of every episode, we do a segment called "What's Up with You," where we talk about something that's been going on in our lives. Maybe like a TV show, movie, game, something cool happened, just something that's caught your interest. What's going on in your life? What's up with you?
What's up with me? Well, a few weeks back, I started a playlist on Spotify, and I think we're entering our 5th or 6th rotation out of the playlist. So the idea was just to curate a playlist with a bunch of friends and then eventually other people where add 5 songs to the playlist. No restrictions, no genre restrictions, any language, anything, old, new, no restrictions, no judgment, whatever you want to add. And we'll keep it on for 2 weeks. At the end of 2 weeks on a Sunday, I purge the playlist, new songs again. And so far it's been a smash, honestly.
Yeah.
A lot of variety and everything.
It's just really funny because we literally were just talking about this in the car on the way here.
Yeah.
Like almost like beat for beat, like the same points that you mentioned. I just said to him.
we also talked about this on the other.
Yeah, we did talk
too.
about this on a previous
Yeah,
episode.
And I think that's fucking awesome what you guys are doing right now.
Because when it started, I was like so excited about it. I was like, I'm gonna talk about it on the podcast.
When you mentioned it, I was like, hey, that's me.
Shout
that's
out.
my playlist.
Oh man, I'm happy for you guys. Like right now, we used to have something. I think we talked about it before, but we used to have our own like collaborative playlist, but it wasn't very updated to what you guys are having right now. Like 2 week rotations going on. But like so that ship has kind of sailed for me. So at that point, I started making my own playlist and like tune it to what I want in that playlist and what sound and what kind of feeling that playlist can give me. So, and honestly, it's been working out great because I've had Alan and like 3 other people follow that playlist and they're like like not they're not constantly asking me, but they will ask me from time to time. Like, hey, Tin, have you found any new music to put on my playlist? Because they've been telling me they would listen to that playlist on the way home from work, just because it helps, gives them that good feeling that I'm aiming towards for them to feel. And it's been working out great for me. But I would love to see what the content you guys have on your playlist.
You want to join it? 5 songs. You don't have to add 5. Like it's because not everyone updates every week. It's like they'll post it when they have like, oh, I have like a few songs this cycle. You can add whenever.
No commitment. Like you can just like lurk in the playlist and
You can just listen to it too. You don't have to add anything.
I'll be down for that.
And you don't have to add 5. You could add 1.
Yeah, up to.
Up to 5. Okay.
Yeah. There is one account there that adds more than 5, but that's because it's a joint account between a very lovely couple.
Like,
shout out.
Are they threatening you?
Wait,
Like,
why did it sound so weird when you said
yeah, like a very lovely couple. Like they have like a gun on your back right now.
Because I want to get the save the date invitation.
Trying to get your foot in the door?
Yeah. So what's up with you, Tin?
Me? I have been doing several things actually. Well, I started watching Alter Carbon.
Great show.
Great show.
Yes, I love the concept is great, but we talked about it last episode.
Yeah.
So the one thing I want to bring new to this, what's up with you, is that I've been playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
That is a really good game. Basically, it's a nice like spin-off from the Star Wars series, but like it takes place after the Jedi Order was disbanded, after they executed Order 66. And you're based on your main character is this kid who was pretty much stranded on a distant planet for years, and then he finally presents an opportunity to restore the Jedi Order. And the gameplay is amazing because it's like, you guys ever play Dark Souls?
Yes.
It's very, very similar, where you have to like learn how to time the parries, block, fight in mass enemies at the same time, and it's really immersive. Like you get to customize your character, his lightsaber and everything. That's
cool.
It's just really immersive, and like the cinematics are just like off the charts, amazing. So I highly recommend playing the game if you haven't tried it yet. So what's up with you, Alan?
I feel like recently, I feel like we've talked about this a lot, but especially in the last episode. But recently, I've just had this like mentality of how short life is. I keep it sounds kind of morbid, but I've been thinking a lot about death and like thinking about like how short life is and how everything can just like end in a moment,
Right.
And I was thinking about like, especially today we were like hiking and I was talking about like how like you want to be remembered after you die, and like that's just been like on my mind, this constant like idea of like, man, I gotta make the most of the time that we have right now. Been trying to go do more stuff, been trying to like spend time with people I care about, just go because nothing's guaranteed. All we have is today, and even that can get cut short, so just trying to go out, do stuff, party. I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Different way to use that.
That should be a title for the podcast.
Good time, not long time.
Not a long time.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on to the show.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
How was it?
Back.
Yeah, how
did you feel going on the show now?
I feel really good. I felt like around like halfway through, I felt super comfortable, and I'd love to just be a part of it more often. Really, like the conversation just flies.
Yes,
literally flies. When he said an hour and 10 minutes, I was like, it's like one story, 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's not a lot of time, to be honest. Like we have so much to talk about that it just makes an hour feel like 20 minutes.
There's a couple times where like we would just go hang out and talk, and or like I would come over and just like hang out and talk, and then I would come home like super late, and my mom was like, "Oh, where have you been?" And we were like, "Oh, I went to so and so's," and they're like, "Oh, what did you do?" "Oh, we just talked," and she's like, "What? Like you're so young. What do you have to talk about?"
That happened like a couple years ago.
I was like, "What do you mean? Why do you like?" I was like, "How do you and like aunties talk for like 5 hours?" And she was like, "It's not the same. We're old. We have a lot of life." And I was like, I mean, I was like, I don't know what to say.
Well, we've been living on this earth for at least 20 years. That's a lot of life too, you know?
Did it to my friend's younger brother. He was like just getting out of high school, and I was like working already, and they were like, "Yo, it's been a long time since we hung out." Like talking to his other friend who's also like 18 or whatever, and like, "Let's get together and like talk about life." And I just like laughed at their face, like, "You babies, like
What
life? This conversation's gonna be 5 minutes."
Remember when I ordered the McDonald's and he gave me my change back and it wasn't the right change? Oh my God.
Such a struggle.
Wow.
Remember when we found out girls didn't have cooties? So much wasted time.
They don't?
Oh, the glass is shattered.
Wait, turn the podcast off. We need to talk about this.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Cast, and special thanks to I almost said Sinjin, dude. Yo, shit. I was like, fuck, that's not Sinjin. What the fuck was
Sinjin.
Sinjin.
Yes.
It's very close.
Very close.
Oh my God, it's very... Oh, he was telling me that how you hated me called Jinchi.
That's for the next episode.
All right,
boy.
thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.